Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Now this video is more because someone asked me to make this actually that knows me. So today we're talking about day trading. I'm just gonna very quickly, write that out. So day trading, yeah. Uh, and a lot of people will sit here and probably are looking at this and be like, "Oh, dude, what do you know about day trading?" Well, I do actually know a little bit about day trading. Honestly, actually, I'm taking out my time right now of day trading to do this. So hopefully, we make actually good profit today, or I might lose a lot of money today. I don't really know. But basically, what is day trading? Because that's probably a pretty good thing to sit there and like tell people. Is day trading basically just means you're buying and selling in the same day. It basically just means like you're not holding the stock for more than one day. So you like, let's say if I buy this at 8 a.m. Okay, that's meant to be an 8, by the way, guys. So if I buy it at 8 a.m., right, I need to sell that depending on your time zone. For me, it technically the market opens at 6, but you need to sell that by 3 in my area. Or if you're in New York, you buy it at, well, I guess technically you'll buy it at 8 and you need to sell it by 5 in New York, right? So that's the thing. It just really depends on where you are at, but you will all have the exact same amount of time, right? So basically, you buy like if you're in New York, you buy it like let's say at 8 a.m. You need to sell it by 5 p.m. That is what basically day trading is. It's you're not holding stocks for a while. But the goal here is to basically catch small parts of intertrade moves. Meaning, basically, let's just sit here and say market, okay? Like that's meant to show, hold on, I'm trying to show this the best I can. So you see how it's going up? So let's say if you bought here, right? Your goal is to maybe sell here and make that small profit. Now, if you obviously put like, let's say 100K down, your profits will be a lot more than somebody that puts like 1K down. So if you guys are all starting out here and everything, the thing is don't get so worked up on the profits. The main idea is you need to build an account first so that you might be able to throw 100K on there and pull back a huge amount of money. Now, how long do I recommend day trading? I recommend trying to do it for the whole day. Normally, I stop at about 20 to 30K, but if I'm really having a good day, that some days, I will keep going. But now, the idea here is you also need a little bit of capital to start. I started day trading with, I think it was about 40 grand, and that's how I built myself up from here. Also, another thing to note here is that I might not explain all this super well. So if this doesn't make sense to you, go also watch other YouTube videos, okay? So the reality of it is though, is most times this is not gonna how it's not gonna always go. Sometimes it's gonna go boom, you buy here, right? And then it's gonna go down. Now, the thing is that if this is not a pattern that's happening, which by the way, we'll get more into that in a second. But if it's not a pattern that's happening, you need to like let's say if it goes down and the pattern says it's meant to go back up, if it drops again, sell. Do not hold. That is a great way to lose a lot more money. Trust me right now, I'm being dead ass with you guys. I've lost so much money sitting there and thinking, oh, it's going to go back up even if it's not showing the pattern. Trust me, it sometimes does. Like it might go like this and go back up, right? But if it's not showing the pattern, it is better just to pull out before you keep losing money. That's at least in my personal opinion. And basically, you also just need to know when to stop. Like, for example, one day, I had like a $30,000 loss, right? 30K. Now, obviously, I was like not doing very well that day, right? So the idea there is you just want to stop, just stop, like just go get some sleep, go eat, go do something else for a little bit. Don't even come back to it normally unless if it was like early morning. Don't come back to it. Now that day though, it was like by then it was like already like 1 p.m. in my area, so I just stopped for the rest of the day. I said, yeah, we've lost a lot of money already. I'm not doing this anymore, right? Okay. Let me quickly clear this. How do I clear this by chance? Is there not a way for me to clear this? Oh, chance. Okay, so now we're going to show this a bit more into detail. So let me just make up a graph here. Now, by the way, we're going to get into like the charts and everything. By the way, you do actually want a chart pulled up for this. You can basically just look up candlestick chart patterns, and it normally pops up for you. So here, let me actually just pull up my own really quickly, because I'm going to show you guys some examples of like patterns and stuff that you need to look out for. So hold on, let me pull mine up on my phone. Sorry about that. I was not prepared for this. Okay, like for example here, okay? Basically, the idea here is let's say base market is like, let me just do this actually correctly. So let's say if market is like up here, right? It's up. By the way, I'm not adding those little points to the top of them, probably. But, okay, so let's say it's going up like this, and then it hits it with like this. Okay? This is a pattern. Now, normally this means it's about to go back down. Normally, we always almost see this happen. So what you honestly want to do is if you realize this pattern, let's say you bought here, you want to sell instantly the moment this red here pops up. Because this normally means the market is going to go shooting down. Now, that is just one pattern out of many patterns, but I think it gives you the idea of what we're actually looking for. Now, normally, though, this will not pop up in the pattern until it's like later because it's starting to go down. So the moment you realize that this has happened, sell. But also, there's another pattern, and I'm going to show you one that shows it's going up. So let's say, hold up, I'm just going to go back up here. So let's just say if it's green up here, don't mind me not like doing this accurately, showing it go all the way up and whatnot. And then, okay, my bad. That's, here, hold on, let me trace over this with red, my bad. Alright, so let's say this is a red box, right? So, and then it shows up as kind of sort of this. Okay? This normally means the market is going to go up. Now, obviously, these are only two patterns out of hundreds of patterns, honestly, it seems like. I don't even know if my chart's even the best chart out there. But it's made me money, so I'm okay with it. But basically, this is what you're looking for. Is, for example, that is a pattern that's going to go down. That is a pattern it's going to go up. There's many, many more patterns. Like, I can give, like, one more example, because I think we have the room here to do it. But, like, let's say you have it something like this. Sorry for my bad drawings. I know I'm going to get fucking judged in here. Now this, you're probably looking at that being like, oh, the market's going down. There is a actual pattern where it goes up. Because it's very, like, honestly, I don't even know how this all exactly works. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys or nothing. I'm not that smart, but it goes up. I just listen to my patterns, right? That's what the whole goal is here, is listen to the patterns. Normally, patterns don't lie to you. And sometimes they do, and you lose some money. And that's what happened to me a few times. But also, don't get disheartened if you guys like lose $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Trust me right now, guys. Money comes and goes, but the money that you could possibly make off of this is so exponential. It is fucking crazy. Now, by the way, this is one of the most simple ways of day trading. There's a lot harder day trading than this. But basically, I'm going to give you like... I'm not actually going to give you guys any more examples. So basically, we kind of just explained like what a trend is and everything. Like these are like technical trends. That's kind of, I guess, what they're called. I call them patterns personally. But basically, that's kind of like what you're looking for. And honestly, That's just like basically the whole thing behind it is you're looking for these patterns and stuff like that. Now, obviously, there's other things that you would want to be making sure of, like figuring out like what a good company is and everything else. That's more takes research on everybody else's own part. I would have to sit there and say, obviously, I could give my recommendations out, but I'm not really going to because once again, I don't know how correct I am on everything I'm sitting here and trading on. Like for example, like some companies are really good at with trading on, and other companies are really shitty. So personally, do your own research on that. Also, another thing is, hold on, let me make a new file. Don't save. Another thing is also, what was I going to say? 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 Oh yeah, paper trade. What is paper trading now? Paper trading is basically where you're faking like false trading, but it's great practice. This was something I did for about probably 3 to 4 weeks before I actually ever even placed my first ever day trade. Now, obviously, you're probably sitting there be like 4 to 6. I mean, yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. That's crazy. What do you mean that you took that long to even start day trading? Well, it's better to do it this way because then you can be actually sure of your skills before you place, like, I don't know, for example, today I plan on like day trading like at one time about 50K, right? It makes you a lot more confident into the skills that you've gained to drop that 50K on a day trade rather than sitting there going in there bare knuckles and dropping fucking 10K and losing it all and being like, oh, this is a scam. So make sure to paper trade. Do research. Yes, do research. Now, this is probably what you're watching this video for, maybe, is for the research part of it. Yes, this is a good thing to do. Obviously, this is very basic. This is not meant to go that deep in depth because I don't really understand actually how the fuck this market works. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I don't understand it. I just basically just do what I learned off of YouTube videos. I won't lie to y'all or nothing. So do research. That's another major thing. Like I probably have watched closer to about 1,000 to 2,000 hours of financial videos on how to day trade. Do paper trading. I recommend do this for at least 100 to about 200 hours before you ever even place your first ever day trade. Now, a lot of people will sit there and say just get right into it. I recommend you don't get right into it. I recommend 100 to 2 hours on paper trading. Then I also recommend you do a lot of research, figure out what companies you want to do. I, for example, have traded Tesla. I don't trade Tesla anymore. While I've heard it's a good company and everything, I just never had crazy good results with that. So I stopped day trading Tesla. That's another thing is not everybody's always correct on everything. Some people have, better stuff and all that. But also another thing I probably should mention is that you need to have enough money that's above the VWAP. What is, when you're probably sitting there asking like, what's that? You need to be able to buy a whole share of this to actually do this. But also another thing is make sure you stop whenever you're losing. Well, not always. Like stop whenever it's a financial loss. Like for example, like my 30K I lost. Stop like whenever you like lose that type of money. If you have that type of money to lose. But like let's say if like in my bank account I had like 15K, 5K would be the stopping rule for me personally. And then probably the day after it'd be probably like 4K or something like that. You like want to drop it depending on your bank account thing. So like let's say if someone with like I don't know $400,000 in their bank account, for me personally, I would stop at about 100K loss in a day. Personally, that is my own personal thing. While yeah, you're losing 1/4 of your money, you have a higher chance of regaining that 100K if you figure it out, right? Like if you start doing good, you have a higher chance of doing it. Also, another thing is that you need to kind of make sure what you're risking is actually worth it. Now, obviously, don't risk it too much, but you do want to make sure like your risk to reward is actually okay. Because like you don't want something that's only going to give you like let's say if you put $1,000 in there, you don't want something that's just only going to give you 1,000 and like I don't know, $8 back. That's a shitty profit margin. You risked $1,000 for $8. I mean, go work at McDonald's at that point, right? So that's another major thing I guess to look for. But basically, you really honestly just want to paper trade a lot. You want to do a lot of research. You want to figure out all this stuff. Do like honestly, bro. People like will sit there and say this is such a scam, such a scam. I'm telling you, probably watch closer to, if you don't want to watch 1,000 hours, watch closer to 300 hours of YouTube videos of actually people that are trustworthy in the space that has like kind of like, if they're not talking about like, if they aren't telling you to paper trade at least one time before you start day trading, don't trust them. They're after the money, right? Because paper trading, I feel like, is one of the most things that like people always tell you to do. Now, by the way, you have to understand that this is more of a very basic guide. This is like one of the easier ways of day trading is the candlesticks. I don't really know much of how to day trade any other way yet, which we are learning. So right now, like, we're learning how to crypto trade. So I'll probably make a video on how to crypto trade whenever I fully figure out how to do that. But basically, remember, paper trade 100 to 200 hours. Do research for about 300 hours, which you can do research as you're paper trading because practice makes perfect. That's what the goal is here. And make sure you don't risk dumbass amounts of money for little ass amounts of money. Make sure you're trading within a reasonable amount. And this is a very basic guide. We didn't talk about like when to not day trade, when to all that stuff. We didn't talk about any of that stuff because once again, that's stuff I'm still learning about. So I don't want to sit here and act like I know what the hell I'm talking about until I actually know. So if you guys want a better guide, give me a few like weeks to months and we will have that out. But for this one, this is a very simplistic guide. And Luke, I hope this did help you if you made it this far into the video. And honestly, please do actually listen on some of this stuff. Well, mainly this stuff. I like, if you don't take any other stuff from this, make sure to do this. This is the most important part of this whole video, is making sure that you know that you need a paper trade first and do mass amounts of research. Now, obviously, I did help you sort of in this, like giving you some basic tools to use, but the research is the main part, like finding what good companies there are, finding what's worth it, finding when to trade and all that other stuff. Obviously, I can give you some tips on how to trade and everything, but I'm not going to put it in this YouTube video just because like, let's say if a random person finds this, I don't want them to take bad advice from me. This is the like stuff I'm for sure about, basically. But basically, I hope you guys all did enjoy this video. I know I definitely did enjoy making this, and this is probably going to be unedited, saying that this is only 18 minutes, so I hope, Luke, you can sit here for 18 minutes and watch this, and adios, amigos.